Okay, welcome to the cells, plant, and animal. Today we're going to talk about the different organelles that belong in a plant and animal cell. So as you sit back and look at your notes, pay very close attention to where the organelles go, and remember the first ones that we're going to be talking about are strictly all organelles in all the plant and the animal cell. Now, of course, there's a difference between the plant and animal cell. And in our notes and on the sheet that you have, really there are two organelles that are different for the animal and then two that are different for the plants. And we'll talk about those as we go through. We're going to first start with the cell membrane. The cell membrane controls what enters and exits the cell, separates the cell from the environment. The cell membrane, we also use the analogy in class, that it is like the border patrol. It what lets people in and out of the countries. If they feel that you're not able to go through, they won't let you into the country. They'll keep you away. And that's the way it is, like in customs or when you travel abroad. And the cell membrane, in many instances, is the same thing. It allows things to go in and out. The nucleus. The nucleus is a highly specialized organelle that serves as information processing and administrative center of the cell. This is where DNA, hereditary material, chromosomes, all these are taking place. This is where protein synthesis and reproduction actually takes place as well. In your notes, you're going to notice I've already have that typed in for you. All you have to do is put in the nucleus. Now, the nucleus is in the center. It's not necessarily always found in the center of the cell. It is the control center. It is where everything basically gets the information from. And one of the analogies we used in class was it is like Houston, where mission control is for the space shuttle program, where once it cleared the tower, Houston was in charge. And that's where we get the famous line from Apollo 13 where it says, "Houston, we have a problem." We move to the mitochondria. The mitochondria, it is rod-shaped or bean-shaped organelles that it generates energy. It generates, as it says in the definition here, currency that powers. It is what keeps things moving. And it takes care of all the metabolic activities, anything that needs to be broken down. And of course, this process is used as aerobic respiration, and the reasons why animals breathe oxygen. Mitochondria, to me, it's kind of like Mighty Mouse. A lot of the students didn't know who Mighty Mouse was, so I'll be posting a video very soon of who Mighty Mouse was. But it is the powerhouse of the cell. We move to the ribosomes. Ribosomes are all living cells. They contain ribosomes, tiny organelles composed of approximately 60% of RNA and then 40% protein. They generally described as organelles. It is important to note that the ribosomes are not bound by a membrane, and they are much smaller than other organelles. They're actually found some in the endoplasmic reticulum, in that rough ER, as we see, and it's meant for the protein synthesis. Endoplasmic reticulum, as we're talking about it, there are two types. There's two types. The rough ER, if you can take a look over here with the mouse, we see the rough ER is right here with all the ribosomes that are showing on the outside, making it look like it's very rough and rigid. Then we have the smooth ER off to the side. And again, as the definition states, these sacs and tubules are interconnected by single continuous membrane so that the organelle has only one large, highly convoluted and complexly arranged lumen in internal space. And this is where it transports the ribosomes. The Golgi bodies, the Golgi apparatus, also called the Golgi complex, it's found universally in both the plant and animal cells. Typically, what it says here is comprised of a series of 5 to 8 cup-shaped membrane-covered sacs, and these look like a deflated balloon. And basically, what this is a transport. It's a way to transport in and out to the cell membrane to where we can get things in and out of the cell.
Eukaryotic cells have more organelles and therefore are bigger than prokaryotic cells. The main difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells is that eukaryotes' DNA is membrane-bound inside a nucleus, whereas a prokaryote's DNA is not membrane-bound. We will look at the two main eukaryotic cells, animal cells and plant cells. Animal cells cannot make their own food and must rely on the consumption of other materials. Animal cells have a plasma membrane like a prokaryotic cell has, but it does not have a rigid cell wall. Animal cells produce proteins that play a critical role in performing the cell's specific functions. The process of synthesizing proteins requires the nucleus, free and bound ribosomes, rough endoplasmic reticulum, and the Golgi apparatus. DNA is basically a set of instructions for ribosomes to follow. It contains genes that code for a specific protein. Ribosomes synthesize proteins. They can either be freely floating in the cell or attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. Free-floating ribosomes produce proteins that will be used inside the cell, while bounded ribosomes produce proteins that will be shipped out of the plasma membrane. Bound ribosomes produce proteins that are packaged in the rough endoplasmic reticulum and are transported to the Golgi apparatus for further modification. The Golgi apparatus then sends the proteins to the cell membrane, where the protein will leave the cell and be used by the animal's body. Animal cells come from food into chemical energy and ATP through the mitochondria. This process is known as cellular respiration. Mitochondria are complex dual-layered organelles that serve as the site of cellular respiration. The cytoskeleton helps hold the cell together and enables it to keep its shape. It is a network of fibers that organizes structures and activities of cells.
Now that video does a great job, and that was one I found on YouTube that does a great job explaining the different parts and how they interchange and they work together. And now we move to the special parts of the animal cells, the lysosomes and the centrosomes. Now centrosomes we'll talk more about when we get into mitosis, meiosis, but the lysosome, the one thing, the main function of the microscopic organelles is to serve as a digestive compartment for any of the cellular materials that have exceeded their lifetime or they're no longer useful, and that is a very important aspect for the animals. Special parts of the plant cell. You have the chloroplasts and the cell wall. Obviously, the chloroplasts are one of the most widely recognized important characteristics of plants is their ability to have photosynthesis. And in class, we talked about how photosynthesis was H2O plus CO2 with sunlight gives us C6H12O6 plus O2 plus energy. And what that basically is saying is we water a plant, give it carbon dioxide through the air, and let it have some sunlight. It will produce sugar, oxygen, and energy. And that's what photosynthesis is, and that's what allows the plants to create their own food. Now, a cell wall. Cell wall is one of the most important distinguished features of a plant cell. It is very rigid, and it gives it its shape. It gives it that shape, that form that all plants have. And they need that because they have to build on themselves as they grow larger in size. Now, the last video is a video that I will put separately on here, so you don't have to watch through the whole thing just to see the video. So if you're looking for the cell organelle video that I found through YouTube, you'll have to click one more over on the lecture videos, and I'll post that separately.